Hi again, everybody, all my friends in commerce on the Great Discovery, AI Super Campus, and AI and the future of you. So we're all in this together because it's the future of all of us and our lives and our voice. We all have an individual voice in our lives, and that's what we're here to do and capture with the documentary. So with me is my longtime friend, Ron Hori. We're going to talk about Ron, the future of Ron and his voice in the world of AI and what he does as a professional, as a human being, and as an insurance agent with FinFit Life. Ron, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Glad to be here.
So excited about getting your interview, Ron, because you are so centered in the heart and in the spirit of a vision, of a voice about the future of AI and health and wealth. And so let's get started. So tell me a little bit about yourself and in the world of what we both hold near and dear, and that is business networking. And now we're in the era of business networking AI. So tell me a little bit about how you are working in business networking with FinFit Life.
Well, thank you, Mike. Yeah, I think business networking is a key thing that I do as far as starting and continuing and developing relationships. And I think too, in this era of AI, or in any, even before AI, I heard this saying that if you're not learning and moving forward, if you're standing still, you're actually going backwards because the world is changing. With AI, it's changing at hyperspeed, light speed, whatever. And so I think it's something that we need to really embrace. And I saw an article recently that said one way to keep your brain active and your mind is to be curious. And it can not only affect your brain, your neurocircuitry, but also your body. And so I was talking to this one woman, she's an entrepreneur, and I said, "How are you using AI in your business?" And she said, "Oh, I'm scared about using it." And I asked, and it really puzzled me. I said, "Well, what are you scared about?" And she said, "Oh, I don't know how to use it," and so on. And so it's an example of someone who is really not really open to what's happening today. And I definitely have a curious mind, and it was good to know that it's actually affecting my neurobiology. But there's so much happening with AI in a lot of good ways, and unfortunately, there are bad actors out there using it with bad intentions. However, I think if we can use it in a way, in fact, I use it one way I use it in business. For example, is I'll use ChatGPT, and in our company, we want to help people improve their health, also build their wealth, and have a lifestyle to improve both. So in the financial industry, it can be very, very complex, even to someone like me who's in the industry. So I went to ChatGPT and I asked GPT, can you explain what an annuity is in 5 bullet points? And bam, in 15 seconds, it produced the text, even for me to learn from. And so that's just one way. And then one other way in terms of connecting with people using AI is I would say, well, how can I create a text? I asked ChatGPT, how can I create a text that would reach out to millennials who want to improve their health and build their wealth? And bam, within 15 seconds, it creates a very succinct but also powerful way, especially the language. In fact, I'll kind of divert a little bit, but especially specific language. In fact, I also asked ChatGPT, how can I create a short text that would appeal to Gen Z in their language? Because as you and I know, it's a whole different culture. And so we need to understand the culture. It's neither good or bad, it's different. But I think, that AI is powerful. It's becoming more powerful. We need to embrace it, be curious. And it can also be ways to improve our own personal lives. I was listening to an article and it said you can ask ChatGPT, how can I improve my strengths in my personal life, physical life, mental, spiritual, as well as my business life? And it'll answer that question. So I think, we're in an exciting time. And for me, it's the future is here. And if we don't embrace it, we're going to be left behind. So
Let
thank you
me
for asking.
Thank you, Ron. Brilliantly said. Let me address one thing that I think is important of a yin and yang. Good news, bad news. There is so much information overload, and so many people are feel stuck in this ocean of data and information. And that's a problem. And they don't really know how to get out of it because it's just so much. They don't know which way to turn. So the challenge that we are all facing is how to be able to quiet your mind from all of the noise and be able to listen carefully to a guide that can carefully guide you out of the overwhelm, out of the noise, the confusion. That's the challenge. People don't even know how to find the way out because there's so much overwhelm. So it's so important to find a guide, approach a quiet mind of listening to a guide, somebody that comes highly recommended, like you do, and to be able to spend that time listening to a guide, taking that in with your curiosity and your patience by giving someone like Ron the kindness to listen carefully to him. And that is the way that you are going to find your own way out of the noise. So, talk a little bit about that and the importance of the heart and the mind and really coming at it from a quiet learning perspective.
Oh, absolutely. I could go on and on about that topic. In fact, it reminds me of Stephen Covey. He was the author of Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. He had a phrase. He said, "We are not physical beings in a spiritual world. We are spiritual beings in a physical world." And if you think about that perspective, I mean, there are all kinds of ways, it could literally blow your mind. But when you talked about the quiet mind, information overload, stress, people dealing with, business issues, job issues, employment issues, if they're an entrepreneur, their company, there's family issues, kids, and so on. One of the most powerful ways that I've learned, in fact, I like to study and learn from the most successful people in the world, not just financially, but personally, balanced life success, material success, family success. And a lot of these very, very successful people have a quiet, you could call it a meditation routine. And I was really skeptical, oh, okay, meditation, this, that, TM, and so on. People were talking about cults and on. And I said, when I learned that some of these very successful people have a meditation routine, I said, okay, I need to learn about this. And a lot of the ways you can use meditation, and they're all different types, there's no one specific method that I would recommend, but it definitely affects our minds, and not only our minds, but the neurobiology of our minds. And in fact, the other day I was feeling overly stressed. I had like five different things that I needed to get done. And I said, okay, I'm going to take 10 minutes and just be quiet, close my eyes, use a breathing technique, and just be quiet. And I found that, and some days I don't do that in the morning. I said, okay, but after that 10-minute session, I realized, okay, I need to really get back into my routine because of all, the chatter going on in my mind and externally. I had not been doing that. And so that 10-minute session reminded me that it's something that can really set the tone for the rest of the day. So, that's just one way that I personally use and highly recommend it.
Yeah, let me jump in for 1 second, Ron, and explain to people that even Google is teaching meditation now. Uh,
Really?
yeah, and it is. It's Grow with Google My Business. They're teaching so many different things, and one of them is meditation. So
I'll have
it's
to look
really
into it.
gone corporate and mainstream and everyday life, and because it is important to be relaxed and to be able to be quiet enough to listen and take things in. So just to kind of reiterate what you're saying and agree with you, I think meditation is vital for today's world. So let's talk a little bit about you and FinFit Life and your decision making. Why you and why you decided that FinFit Life was something that would be in alignment with your core values and your mission and who you are and how you want to live your life.
Oh, those are excellent questions, Mike. So I think, one thing that you said is core values. That's really key because, one of my main core values is to add value to people, be a giver as much as I can instead of a taker, be compassionate. And FinFit Life from the executives, the CEO, excuse me, president and co-founder, whom I've met in person. In fact, we actually have our core values stated in our what our movement is all about. And so for me, the way I got involved in what I do now is, my short story is I was in Silicon Valley, south of San Francisco for many, many years. I was doing technical work, software, project management, things like that. And then I transitioned to being an entrepreneur. But what led me to the financial area is a lot of people today, they're taking care of their aging parents, maybe they're taking care of their kids at the same time. So I want to help people avoid what my brother went through. And the short story is I'm in San Francisco, he's in Los Angeles, about 340 miles away. And he was taking care of my mother 24/7, literally, the last 5 years of her life. She had dementia. She passed away at age 97. She couldn't eat. She couldn't talk. She couldn't dress herself. She was in a wheelchair. And she would go to the bathroom 2 or 3 times a night, and my brother would have to lift her out of bed, take her to the bathroom. And he would literally get 2 or 3 hours sleep a night. And if I knew then what I know now, there are ways that we could have prevented that whole issue. He would have been able to bring somebody in, it could be a friend, neighbor, relative in the evening, where he could get a good night's sleep. And so when I learned that there are financial products that can help people prevent that whole issue of caring for aging parents, and some people might say, well, who's going to take care of me as I age? So that really inspired me to learn how to reach out and really help people who are going through that personal struggle. And it is a struggle, not only emotionally, but financially. So that's a long answer to your question.
That's interesting, and how it fits into from a practical standpoint, our conversation about the quiet mind and bonding more deeply with people, including our family members, our kids. Now, if we are not bonding with our kids, and I love the book The Quiet Mind, and I've given it to all. I bought 5 copies. I've given it to all my family members. But from a practical standpoint, I happen to be very blessed by being very close to all of my kids. They all stayed around here. They come over here all the time. We're very, very close. But as I age and as my wife ages, just as we are, like you say about your brother, helping to take care of my mother-in-law, well, we want our kids to help us, and it is important to build those relationships, those familial relationships, to help us survive and thrive in any period, but especially I think in the era of AI. So I think building confident bonding relationships. Now, I would say this because if you get a chance to bond with Ron Hori, he is able to look ahead from his experiences, which he has, and I've witnessed this, uh, kind of boiled down to wisdom. Okay. He has a lot of wisdom in his life in a lot of different areas. And if you are younger, you need a mentor, someone who can guide you, someone that you can bond with. And, I pride myself on my long-term relationships, and I've had a long-term relationship with Ron. And we've gotten to know each other, and we've shared a lot of stories. We understand each other, and we love working together. I love working with Ron. I mean, he learns things from me. I learned the things from him. But if you're looking for a mentor about your life and your future, have a nice conversation with Ron. Give him the kindness he deserves to listen carefully to him, trust him, and take in his best advice. You'll be well served. So, Ron, how do you like to work with people?
Well, I just want to make one comment about mentorship. I'm not an expert, I'm not a guru, and every mentor has a mentor. That's one thing I learned. And no matter, what age you are, whether you're young or, whether you're a senior, I think continuous learning and curiosity, again, this article talked about curiosity as really improving your brain function. And so, what was your question again, Mike? Sometimes my
Oh,
brain
it was
goes
about
off.
how do you like to mentor? How do you work with your clients when you meet somebody? Tell us a little bit about kind of how you get started and how you build a know, like, and trust and get to know them and allow them to get to know you.
Oh, that's an outstanding question. So let's talk about a business setting. So today, online networking, it's happening every day, multiple times a day. So I do a lot of online networking. So a lot of them are in groups, and then there'll be breakout rooms where there'll be maybe four people chatting together, and everybody has, let's say, 30, 60 seconds to explain what they do. So a lot of people will say what they do, which is typical. But what I like to do is that's the start of a relationship. It's not just, oh, I know what they do. If I know somebody, I can refer to them, I'll refer to them. But I don't know enough about them because I like to go deeper. So what I'll do, I have an intention. Okay, I'll meet somebody and let's say in a breakout room, and then I will intentionally reach out to them on social media saying, hey, I met you in a breakout room in a network meeting. I'd like to get to know you better. How would you like to have a Zoom chat for 30 minutes? And most people say, well, sure. And the intention is not to give a pitch. I know a lot of people unfortunately do that. But let's say if we have 30 minutes, I like to take the first 15 or 20 minutes just to learn about them. Let's say uh, you and I met for the first time in a networking session, and I said, hey, Mike, I'd send them a text or an email. I'd say, hey, Mike, we met in networking. I'd like to get to know you. How did you like to have a Zoom chat? So we'd meet together one-on-one on Zoom. And the first thing I'll ask them, I'll say, do you have anything coming up at bottom of the hour? Because I want to respect people's time. And people say, oh, hey, Ron, good to see you. Tell me what you do. And I'll say, well, I want to learn more about you. Tell me what you do and tell me why you do it. And so I'll listen sometimes for 20 minutes intentionally to go deeper in terms of the why of what they do. Do they want to make an, and most people say, I want to help people. I want to make an impact. It's not just about making money, growing their business. And so let's say at the 20-minute mark, they'll say, oh, well, hey, Ron, I don't really know what you do. And I'll say, well, briefly, here's what I do. Here's why I do it. I may tell a story about my brother. And I'll say, well, let's have another chat and go deeper. I think there's a way we can collaborate. And I do that intentionally because you can only do so much in 30 minutes. And so it's a sequence, of know you, like you, trust you. And it could take, five or six or seven conversations to get to that trust level. And so in fact, I learned that from one of our associates, and he's very successful in relationship building. And he said he talked to this one gentleman and who decided to work with him. And he said he had five lunch meetings with this person before he even talked about what he did to the other person. And I said, oh my gosh, that's incredible. So he has this patience. It's not just a quick one shot call. And so I really embraced that myself because I think today there are studies that's saying that because of information overload and abundance, it may take 15 or 20 marketing touches or exposures before somebody decides to make a decision to make a purchase or to go forward in any business transaction. And it's not like the old days where it may take 5 to 7 marketing to, and you're the marketing expert, so you know that.
Well, I have these big, thick glasses because I'm a researcher. Okay. I'm a total nerd and researcher, and I fully admit that. But one of the ways that I like to work is to help people save time to make more money. Because, I mean, I've lectured at Oxford, but I'm not a professor. I'm a business guy. Okay. And about a storyteller. So one of the things that we talked about is you mentioned texting, and I shared a text with you that I thought was very powerful and in a great way to really how many people we can help. Like Zig Ziglar says, the more people you can help, the more you help yourself, and to get everything you want.
Exactly.
Well, right, and you saw the text, so um, one thing that all networkers have in common that people it's so right before your eyes, but people really it doesn't really click sometimes. It's like a fish doesn't know he's in water. When people go to networking events, they don't realize that one thing that everybody at a networking event has in common is an interest in networking, right? And so when you reach out to them with a text and invite them to another networking event where you're going to be there and meet them, they you're already building reciprocity because you've done them a favor, especially if it's a great event. So talk a little bit about that idea of being able to do highly targeted texting, going to directories that so you're not just randomly looking for people, but you can really target the people that you can help. You know, there's city-owned business directories, there's Chamber of Commerce-owned business directories, and a lot of times people aren't getting the amount of business that they would hope just off passively off a directory. So there's a way to really make business directories come alive by communicating with them, through them, to them, and through them. So talk a little bit about texting people.
Well, Mike, you really educated me about, the power of texting, and you probably are going to explain, what your system is. But I think too, especially with businesses, there are hundreds of thousands of business directories all over the country, all over the world. Chambers of commerce, local cities like you in Lafayette, like me in San Jose. And on these business directories, they have all the contact information, phone number, email, and so on. So I think one way to small businesses are definitely it's one area where I can definitely help small business owners in a lot of ways for their business in financial ways. And so, there are ways to search business directories and looking ways to identify small businesses that I can definitely help. And one way to reach out is through texting. And you have a powerful system. And it's not just a one shot text. It's a matter of multiple exposures, adding value, not just pitching the same thing over and over and over again. But maybe, not only say identifying the business is one thing, and then looking at their website, what they do, and then based on what they do, we could probably find out what their pain points are, what their goals are, and then based on that, having that knowledge, it gives you more power in relationship building in the text that we send. So I think you're right. Business directories are a key factor in helping anybody grow their own, not only well, growing their network, which leads to growing their business.
Well, the other thing that everybody has in common, and some people are going to realize this and some people are not, is that we are all in the connected age of AI. And some people don't fully understand that yet. They will because it is coming. And the way I explain it to people who are kind of reticent or fearful of it or whatever is that this is not a choice. We're in the era of AI and it's growing. This is not a choice of, well, I don't want to join Facebook. I don't want to join LinkedIn. I don't want to join AI. They don't have a choice. You know, it's going to affect every aspect of your life, even in the Internet of Things, even if whatever you do, it's going to affect. And people don't realize that yet. So that's one thing that we have in common as networkers is the fact that we are all in the era of AI and education about AI to both survive and not be victimized by AI, because you either control something or you are controlled by it. So you don't want to be controlled by AI. You want to control AI and helping people to learn that at a slow education level. It doesn't have to be steep. It can be a low level of helping them ramp up into the future of AI and you and us. And that's something that we all have in common. And that's what you are doing by reaching out to other networkers and being an early adopter of AI education, learning about it in a non-fearful way. I think that's a real powerful help. And I think that's something you can help people with in multiple ways as a mentor and a guide.
Well, absolutely, because I'm, curious. I'm a lifelong learner, especially with AI. So as I learn, I love to share what I learn. And like you said, it's a continuous process. It's never ending. And we have so many fabulous tools that can enable us to make that personal learning even more powerful.
and to serve better. So don't you also find that there are tools that when you can work more productively, then you're better able to serve people in a much more powerful way to help them even more by using AI communication and reaching understanding. And understanding is composed of communication, friendship, know, like, and trust, and agreements, getting agreements on things like do you want to be safer? Do you want your life to be more protected? And finding things that you have in common. That's really those are the components of understanding. So when you reach understanding between each other, then you're much more likely to be able to help them and serve them in better ways.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, Mike, you probably know this, that people subconsciously make a judgment within 30 seconds of who I am, who you are. And it goes back to, the caveman days where they had to really judge a situation. Is it safe? Is it dangerous? So in that, most people don't realize, that their first 30 seconds is powerful. And so it's a matter of, like, we're going back to, the heart center versus the mind center. It's people can literally feel and sense who you are, even on Zoom, especially more in person, of course. But, people can sense your tone, are you looking, in fact, I learned from uh, a consultant, I'm intentionally making a point to look straight into the camera. In fact,
Yeah,
one of my friends said, "Oh, Ron, are you taking notes?" And he said, "Well, yeah, sometimes." Well, you're looking down. And she said to me in a friendly way, "You need to look straight into the camera." And I laugh about it, but it's absolutely true.
yeah.
But also, too, there are these different behavioral style, different models there are four different types of general behavioral styles. And even understanding that, because people tend to communicate to somebody else in their own style. And what I've learned, here's again, learning is the key, is learning how I can adapt to somebody else's behavioral style. And that instantly, subconsciously creates a communication for both of us, or not a communication, but an empathy. And again, that's the know you, like you part, which leads to the trust. So it's an ongoing process. But I think another thing too is people aren't taught how do you relate to somebody? How do you build a friendship? A lot of times it happens by accident, but it's a method that can be learned and it's very powerful. Also doing it with the right giver intention, because it can also be used to manipulate people, unfortunately. But to me, I want to learn how can I create that trust to further along the relationship process. So I look at the long term, which I think is
Okay.
really important.
It is. Let's shift gears for a minute. Let's talk to somebody thinking about becoming an insurance agent. And what advice would you give to someone if they're looking around for a change of pace, they're retiring or they're starting a new career and they're looking for a career to get into? What would you say to someone? What advice would you give to someone? Because I know you love business networking and you kind of met Ron and nice guy. I'm sure you like him. What would you say to somebody who is interested in a career in insurance?
That is a great question, Mike, because what we do is really not focused on insurance. So the way FinFit Life was born, in fact, the name says it all. Our CEO says our name says it all. So we're about financial fitness, physical fitness, and lifestyle. So when I meet somebody and they say, "What do I do?" Ask me what I do. I don't say I'm an insurance agent because usually people, run away as fast as they can. This is a bad reputation of insurance agents, and because of some examples, that it's like used car salespeople. There are some very empathetic used car salespeople, but that category has a bad reputation. So what is so unique about FinFit Life is we are doing something no other company in the world is doing, and we are combining health and wellness with financial services. So our primary movement is rewarding people for healthy living. Could be as simple as walking, healthy eating, going to the doctor for annual checkups. And so we want to gamify the idea of exercise instead of making it a chore. So simple rewards are gift cards, Amazon, Starbucks, and there are other larger rewards. And we combined that with financial services. So one of the ways we link the two is so it's like credit card points or frequent flyer miles. So as people are more active, let's say they start working out every day, maybe going to the gym, so they accumulate more and more and more points. So those points can actually translate into discounts on financial products like life insurance. And one of the things that I learned, the wake up call to me, I told you my brother's story is when I was networking, and one of the careers I went through was I was a sales coach and a sales trainer. And being an introvert at heart, I said, "Hey, I need to learn how to sell with the right mindset." So I talked to this woman who wasn't is in fact we work together today to this day. She's an insurance agent with our business with our company, and at the time we had coffee and I said, well, tell me what you do. And she said, well, have you heard of living benefits? And I said, what is that? And she explained that it's a type of insurance, but you don't have to die to use it. And I said, really? Because I had been paying premiums for my own life insurance for over 10 years. And the only thing I knew about life insurance was that it was if I die, my brother and my sons would get the money. And she said, well, if I get sick, if I get hurt or I get injured, I could take money out of my policy and pay my bills. And I said, are you kidding? I said, tell me more about this. And so it just opened my eyes to, and so now we are beyond that in terms of combining health as well as finance. And so as talking to somebody about a career, well, especially let's say about our company, I'm an independent contractor. Coming from a corporate world, I used to work with a Fortune 50, excuse me, high-tech company, and they had some of the most outstanding training programs that I've seen. In fact, they actually had a training budget for employees, and that's why I learned about Stephen Covey and went through a 3-day intensive seminar on the 7 habits of highly effective people. And so, um, so the culture of our company. So again, okay, so I kind of got distracted there, but so I'm an independent contractor, but I'm part of a system. We have a system on how to help people because I had never imagined that I would be in the insurance industry because of the image and so on. But when I learned how I could serve people, and that's part of our core values. We want to do the right thing the right way. We want to help people in specific ways. And so the way if somebody likes helping people, that giver mentality, and also wants to be their own boss, set their own hours, work part-time if they want, work full-time if they want, or change careers. They say, 60% of people are considering changing jobs in 2025 because of all these return to work, return to the office mandates. So we have a system where if somebody has that giver mindset and wants to learn a growing industry, we're not declining at all. And we can help families, we can tell people who are seniors, we can help. So one of the main movements we have is financial education. How does money work? And when my sons were in middle school, and I grew up, I had no financial education. My dad, he was middle class, worked hard, didn't have any investments, no real estate, anything like that. So I was in the dark. So, I'm still continuously learning because we want to help everyday people. In fact, our president says we want to help everyday Americans, that are middle class. And how
Well,
do
go ahead.
so what really excites me is about our movement and how financially we can help people avoid financial disasters like running out of money in retirement. And if somebody's in their 20s, how to start saving early and through compound interest, they could literally become a millionaire when they retire. So the service aspect really excites me.
Let me wrap it up by saying Ron and I have had a conversation, and you can listen to this conversation because it's just two guys talking. We're on screen here, but you can listen to this while you're out for a walk. And that fits into FinFit Life. And that's what I strongly recommend. That's why I promote podcast listening, getting the right people to listen to the right podcast. So, what I would say to stay healthy is take this for a walk, today and every podcast listening episode that we put out. It's designed to get you out, get you going, not be stuck on a Zoom call. Put on the headset, take your phone for a walk with you, and just listen to what Ron has to say. It's relaxing. The joy is in the doing. When you're out doing something you love, like going for a walk, spending time with your grandkids, whatever, fishing, whatever you find joy in, take this podcast with you and give it a listen as you're doing something that you really enjoy. I think that's a way to kind of relax, be able to take in the information, and really gain some wisdom from Ron if you are looking for maybe a career change, or you're looking for some a way for your family to say secure and survive in the age of AI. So, Ron Hori, my longtime friend, I want to thank you for joining us on AI and the Future of You.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Have a great day, everybody. Okay, Mike, before we end up, I want to add a footnote to what you talked about podcast listening and going for a walk. I think hopefully all of us know that sitting is the new smoking. Sitting for hours and hours, it really has a bad effect on your body. So the recommendation is every 60 minutes, sometimes it's every 30 minutes, they say stand up. And one thing you can take advantage of podcast listening is put on your earbuds or your headphones or whatever and go for a walk once an hour and just go up and down the block. And that may turn into a longer walk, but I think, definitely walking and listening. I love the physical aspect. You're out enjoying nature, and it's also your senses are also more aware. And there are proven benefits of walking at a brisk rate that people doing that on a regular basis can definitely improve their health. But the podcast listening, I think, is brilliant because you can be out doing having multiple benefits. You're improving your body and you're improving your mind. So that's just a quick footnote. Thank you again, Mike.
Well, I'm going to remember that mantra. Sitting is the new smoking. So, again, thanks for joining me, Ron.
Thank you.